Karma rental shop. The hypocrite villain. 5:30 in the morning. The wake-up bugle drilled into my ears like an awl. The second I opened my eyes, I stared at the ceiling and swallowed a curse. This is the entrance exam strategy camp for the science high school, where they supposedly gather every kid in the country who gets called a genius. My parents said this was my chance at a quantum jump that would change my life, but to me it was just a prison where my CPU felt like it was burning out every single day. And I have no idea why there are so many absurd rules. Not eating anything after 10 at night is basic. If you talk to a friend about anything other than studying, they give you a penalty for emotional noise. They even said that if your stride is too wide when you walk, it's evidence of emotional instability, saying strange things like that to keep us in a vice. The adults say we are precious national assets who need strict discipline, but honestly, for middle schoolers like us, it was just brutal harassment that meant you couldn't eat a bag of snacks in peace or laugh with a friend. And there was one kid who packaged that harassment with the grand names of justice and morality and swung it around at the very front. Our group leader, Kang Jun, who supposedly had never lost the top rank in the school. Among the teachers, Jun was known as the angel of model students. Looking at him with his neatly combed hair and his uniform always pressed to a knife edge, I sometimes thought he was not a person but a robot made of cold silicone. Whenever he opened his mouth, insufferable words came out. The duty of the elite, moral purity. We are not ordinary middle schoolers. We are the people who will solve humanity's hardest problems. If you can't keep even a trivial rule like this, how will you lead a massive project later? Every time he said things like that, my stomach turned strangely. He acted logical, but listening to him made my logic circuits tangle. He was especially uncanny at using rules as a ruler to cut down anyone who annoyed him or scored higher than him in math. What happened with my best friend Minsu still makes the entropy in my head feel like it's about to explode. A few days ago, while working on advanced physics problems until my brain nearly stopped, Minsu and I secretly shared a lemon candy he had hidden deep in his bag. It was one piece of candy. But June, passing through the corridor, caught the scene. The next day Minsu was called in by the dorm supervisor and torn apart for nearly an hour, to the point of character assassination. Standing beside the supervisor with a truly sorrowful expression, June said, "Sir, seeing Minsu treat the rules so lightly hurt me deeply. I thought we had to address it, if only to protect the purity of our team." Minsu came close to being expelled from the camp and barely stayed after writing dozens of pages of reflection. But from that day on he was branded as the kid who creates flaws in the team, and the others quietly froze him out. Every time June passed him he tapped his shoulder and put on his hypocrisy. "It was all to reform your mindset, you know that, right?" I stayed by Minsu's side and glared at June, but he only wore the perfect group leader's smile. Why is everything June says accepted like righteous law, while what we say gets treated as an error message? It made me want to die of frustration. But that night, by chance, I saw June's real ugly bug. Sneaking down the corridor to the bathroom past the supervisor, I caught a smell leaking through the gap in the group leader's room door. A very rich, sweet smell of chocolate. Peeking in, I saw June with his mouth full of the imported chocolate he had sneered at as low-grade dopamine addiction, chewing away. And under his desk he had hidden the latest phone, which we had all supposedly turned in, and he was cackling and trading messages with someone. God, pretending to lecture those idiots is really bringing out my acting skills. The voice that came out of him was not the gentlemanly one we heard by day, so strict with everyone else while sucking up every sweet thing through the back door. My head felt like it burned white. Beyond injustice, I shook as though every wire in my body had snapped. I did not know what to call this awful feeling. Calling him a bad guy did not explain it. Acting good on the outside while doing filthier things than anyone on the inside. That was when I first learned that adults call this hypocrisy. So that's what hypocrisy is. It was truly disgusting. I couldn't sleep from the anger, and I was sitting under the streetlight at the end of the dormitory corridor. Out of the darkness came a man with a worn leather bag. He looked oddly like me and somehow much colder. He looked straight at my face and asked in a low voice, "How does it feel to watch someone hold hellish rules over everyone else while he licks honey through the back door? Feels like your circuits are going to burn out from the unfairness, doesn't it?" At his words, I almost burst into the tears I had been holding back. To read my heart as precisely as reading data. From his bag, he took a transparent sticker-like seal and a small, glittering marble, handed them over, and whispered, "Stick this behind his nameplate. Every harsh standard he has held over other people will become a boomerang and attack him. And every ugly thing he tries to hide will be forced into the open, layered with vicious bad luck." As if under a spell, I took them,